In this video, I'm going to share with you where triggers actually come from and where they're stored in the mind and why they feel so automatic. And this is the part where a lot of traditional approaches to healing completely miss. They don't talk about this, and you can end up feeling like you're stuck in a loop for a really long period of time. When we are triggered, they are coming from a different part of the mind than the part of your mind responsible for logic and reason. They can be built from memories, emotional conditioning, repetition, like just things you've done again and again, past traumas, responses that kept you safe, or even that your mind thought kept you safe because it made an association to something. And so over time, the brain creates a shortcut because it thinks it's protecting you. And so you can also think about this as programming. I often use that language in my work. It's like it's your programming. And the shortcut becomes the default, which is why it feels automatic to think or feel or behave in the same way over and over, even if you're logically aware that it's not working. It becomes almost this groove in your mind. So when something feels familiar, even if it's not the same thing, your body responds, you react in a way before your conscious mind can intervene, before it's even there, before it has put logic and reason to that you shouldn't be doing that. And this is how you can end up stuck with rumination or overthinking or cycles in relationships, feeling triggered by anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, where it feels like you don't have any control over it or any say. It's just there. I recently worked with a client who was abused as a young girl, and she came to me because she's like, I'm super triggered by my partner, even though I know he's safe. The anger and defensiveness that trigger kept firing, even though she consciously knew, I love this person. He's not doing any harm. I'm just overreacting to all of these things. And she always ended up having to do damage control because she's reacting in an unkind way. She was aware of the trigger, but it was so fast that she couldn't overpower it. And she had been to therapy for a number of years over this. And most reactions happen faster than thought because they're coming from a different place. But by the time you realize you're activated, your body has already responded. You've already recoiled or gotten angry, and you've done the thing that you wanted to stop doing. The nervous system learns to track what felt unsafe, what felt unpredictable, anything that required you to adapt in your life. And sometimes it even does this before there's language to describe it. So if something happened before you even had language, it just comes out as sensations, emotions, patterns, and you can't even verbalize what your experience is like because it's pre-verbal. In this client's case, her overreaction, getting mad, kept her safe. Like as soon as she realized that that was a strategy she could use, her mind just created the default marker. It's like we're going to do this anytime we feel even remotely unsafe. And so something that happened that would just present itself that carried even a similar energy, her body would respond automatically, and it was ruining her relationship. And this is why triggers feel immediately because they're below awareness. Over time, the brain favors this efficiency, so it strengthens the pathway, just keeps doing that same thing that once helped you cope or survive and becomes a reflex. Or you can end up being hypervigilant, or you develop like people pleasing behaviors. In this case, her anger became a defense mechanism. And it worked then, but it wasn't working now. It was actually causing the opposite effect of what she wanted. And the problem is the nervous system does not update because you're aware of it or that you have an insight about it or you understand that it came from the trauma of being abused as a child. So you can talk about it endlessly and it can still feel like that doesn't do anything. You end up in that same loop because awareness doesn't translate into change because it's in the programming. You can be aware of the programming, it's not going to update it. And so what we're going to do in the next video is I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about why like trying to talk yourself out of a trigger hasn't worked and why willpower is super short-lived and it can end up leading to you continuing to reinforce the pattern or behavior. And we'll then talk about what actually works to help update these systems and these programs to actually respond in the way you want and also to feel infinitely less triggered.